I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, everybody? We are here for AfterBuzz Boomerang. Man, I can't get the words out. What's going on? We are here, quarantine edition. I'm coming to you from the car studio today.
Right.
We got our normal people here, and for you guys today, we got a special guest. But let me let everybody introduce themselves before we get into it and get our overall thoughts. So, Chef, why don't we start with you? Let the people know.
What's going on, everybody? Chef Beanz coming through with the mental cuisine.
Oh, my turn? Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Missy. So let's get into this episode.
Man, for sure. And for everybody out there, you've been seeing our three mugs for most of this season. But today, son, as we wrap up this season of Boomerang, we got a special guest in the house. You guys know him as Ari on Boomerang, but please welcome to the virtual studio, Mr. Leland B. Martin.
Yo, what up? What's
going on?
How you doing, man?
I'm over here quarantining. You know how it goes, man.
Hey.
I'm in the house by my lonesome over here, just kicking it with y'all right now, man.
Right there. He's about to go play like some hoops, like in quarantine. That's when you celebrity style. You like, I could just go out and shoot some balls.
Get your cardio some way. You got to get your cardio some way over here, man. They closing down the gym, so I'm over here just dribbling in my living room, man.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Well, let's definitely get into these final two episodes of Boomerang episodes 7 and 8. Man, I'm gonna start out. I want to get overall thoughts from Chef and Missy, but I'll just start with my overall thoughts. I mean, man, these are actually really the last 3 episodes. One dealing with Crystal, David, and then kind of the crew. I was like, wow, the show just kind of going in all, just taking us to different spots.
Right.
So, yeah. So, Chef, give me your overall thoughts of these final 2 episodes.
My overall thoughts, I really like how, of course, they started with David with the internal trials and tribulations that he went through, but also how they tapped into like masculinity and different things on a lot of different levels. I think a lot of people may somehow miss the conversation aspect that this show creates. So I was just very excited how the writers created a lot of different conversations. What about you, Missy?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with all of you. I feel like this episode, it was just like, it kind of just let everybody know like what they're gonna like leave off for like the next season. So like we saw the progression with like Ari, and then we saw like Simone, and I was gonna like combine their names, but I didn't. Simone and like Bryson and like all that, like how they're like start their whole little business. So it was a lot of progression in like the last 2 episodes. So I'm kind of excited to see like, I just want to know if David ever proposed. So like it was a lot. I was like, dang, you left me hanging.
Right. Right. And Ari, I'm sorry, Leland. I'm still in the show mode, Leland. And I always like to get the perspective from, the actors, because you guys sometimes you film it, but then to actually see how everything comes out edited and all that stuff. Like, what were your thoughts about the David episode and then the final season finale?
It's funny. When I watched the David episode yesterday, I was like, am I high? Like there was like, especially like when he was in the stripper room and he was wearing the heels and he's in front of the mirror trying to figure it out. Cause like, it's funny because you see things that you weren't there for, like I was only there for my part of that episode, which was the church scene. And I had a whole lot of fun shooting that, but like to see other stuff that I wasn't necessarily a part of and to look and be like, what in the hell is going on, man? He was like, what do you see? I see courage. And I see
right.
Sure, man. You know what I'm saying? Whatever works for you, brother. But so it was cool because like that the episode, the way it was written was just so fanciful and such a dream sequence. So to see how it actually all came about was kind of cool, and when the Black Ranger came back, listen, that's all you need right there. You know,
when I saw that first off, I mean, I literally had to do the double take because you're like, that does look like dude, but maybe I'm just tripping and they got some, you know, and then you're like, no, that is him. I was like,
Walter Jones, man, he's dope, man. Like, you know, and it's crazy because like 5-year-old me was jumping up and down seeing this, you know, and then on top of it, like I said, I wasn't there for you know, a lot of these parts that were shot in this particular episode, so I'm seeing a lot of stuff for the first time. When my man is doing the whole, you know, I'm saying. I'm like, yo, son is going all out for his friend now. Like, I was all about it, man. Like that was a huge thing for me. So like, ultimately I liked it, you know, because it was that dream sequence we were looking for. I felt like I was high when I was watching it, and I feel like that's what they were kind of going for.
Well, there was a lot, like you said. I mean, we'll just start with that episode. I mean, like you said, from the Black Ranger, and at first the way they set it up when he came and he's like, hey, you're the Black Ranger, all this stuff, and he was like, it seemed like he was trying to play it off like, no, dude, you got it. I was like, oh, are they really gonna play it where he's not gonna, you know,
right, in the uniform. In like, the uniform.
Yeah.
How you gonna play this off in the uniform? That's like, you know what I'm saying? Are you a police officer, sir, in the blue with the green badge?
Right.
Like, no, I'm not a police officer. Why would you ever think that? Like, what are you talking about, bro? You got the power in uniform more, dog. So nah, he couldn't have played that off, man.
Right. You know? So we see David go on this journey. I mean, it starts off with Bryson. You and Bryson, you know, you guys are, you know, having like, first of all, the chicken debate, you know, it starts off, I was like, man, I mean, first couple seconds, they like, no, Popeye's chicken. I was like, oh, it's already real. They already got me hooked on.
Yeah, you know what inspired that right there. That was that whole Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Right, that craze.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably where we got the coronavirus from. Everybody was like, look, in like 6 months, y'all gonna see, you know, there's gonna be a crazy outbreak because all this chicken, blah, blah, blah. And then, sure enough, you know, they blame it on bats, but I blame it on Popeye's chicken sandwich. I bet that's the cause right there.
Man. So I didn't, like you said, as David starts to take his journey and we see him like pass out or, you know, whatever, and he goes into this dream state, you know, kind of Chef, like, let me know, like when you first like saw him after he meets up with the Black Ranger and he goes into the first, like I said, that first scene with Ari, you know, when he's doing the whole, you know, the church scene, he's Ari's the pastor and everything. Kind of like, what was your feelings in terms of like, were you like, where is this going? Or like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I was just, yo, go ahead, what you say?
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I wasn't necessarily sure, but just to dive into like David's character this whole season, he was already at multiple crossroads internally and externally, from their random mock-up of the fake crew when they had the lookalikes, going to different churches. We could kind of see like internally, David was already messed up. So to see the scene, I wasn't sure where it was about to go, but I knew it was going to be some type of character building experience for David, because it seems like he was already floating this season, like trying to figure out his place or trying to get confidence in whatever room that he walks into, you know?
Absolutely. It was a gradual progression of things he needed to learn in every room that he went into. You know, so the Ari room had a particular lesson, in the Bryson room, and all these, it all ultimately brought him to the conclusion that at the end of it, you know, he knew what he wanted to do, and you know, the life that he wanted to choose, because that's where he ended up at when he was talking to God at the end of it all. You know, he's basically, it's like you have to make the decision of which life you want. And ultimately it was funny because the decision that he ultimately has to make is between his friends and the girl, which kind of represents the life that, you know, he wants to live as far as the church life and all the rest, because he just feels like he doesn't fit in with us. And ultimately that's where he was at in the confessional with Tia, where he's like, everybody looks at me like I'm a joke, and I hate this and I hate that and I hate that. And he just, you know, he feels pent up and all that stuff. And I feel like, you know, my character and what I brought to that particular episode was just a pronouncement of freedom. Ari represents freedom for the most part as a character. Now you see the chinks in his armor in the second season, but you know, for especially in the first season, we saw Ari just was a symbol of, you know, unapologeticness and freedom in the way that you go about life. And it was just, you know, even though it was ironic, the fact that you saw Ari in the pulpit, you know, if you get past the irony of it all, the message in itself was that David needed to allow himself the freedom to let go. You know, he had all this burden and baggage of all these failures that he felt like were on him, and those were the things ultimately that stayed with him throughout that episode. He felt guilt. He felt like we blamed him for, or his friends blamed him for the marriage going down, and then he had the failure of the church and all of these things where, so it felt appropriate for my character to stand up there in that pulpit, even though it was ironic for my character in particular to stand up in a pulpit, given how crazy and debaucherous his lifestyle is. But the message behind it was what my character ultimately stands for, is the freedom and that weightlessness, that he was trying to convey to David in that dream sequence.
Missy, what was your favorite part, like, of David's journey, of all those little rooms? Like, which one was kind of your favorite one that you were like,
I mean, what I noticed in the stripper room is when they put the shoes on him, I was like, why those shoes though? Like, I know it's very minimal and nobody would think of that, but I was like, why these shoes? And it was just no, but that's just what I actually not really thought. But the entire episode, I really thought it was mostly about David's insecurities, just from how he looks at himself. Because every room just showed him well, you need to be more open-minded, you need to be more free-spirited, less judgmental. That's what the stripper room was about. So I was okay, I like each message, but it was good overall. I like Leland's perspective about it, because I had no idea what that was actually meant for.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool. It was on some old, put yourself in their shoes, so to speak. But I honestly, when I saw the shoes, they looked like, the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, Times type of shoes.
Slippers type of vibe.
If you're gonna do it all the way. I'm looking for some clear heels. Where the clear heels at? They go all the way.
Right.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. I really enjoyed, like you said, especially when he got to the contrast of going from the stripper room to the Tia room or the confessional, and then when it looked like he just really, hey, we about to get to the real nitty gritty of things, and he just really kind of exposed how he was feeling and all that kind of stuff for each situation. So I really enjoyed it, because it was it was definitely different, and kind of how they focused just on David on this one, just how they had focused just on Crystal, the episode before, kind of the characters, that maybe, and we had talked about it, I think, as a group, we were kind of yeah, what's going to go on with David and Crystal, early on in the season, and then, they kind of got their own, episode, or, kind of focus towards the end there. So I thought that was, I thoroughly enjoyed kind of what they did in that episode. So, yeah, that was fun. But I definitely want to get to the season finale episode, which was whoa! I was whoa!
Could you imagine me reading that? Could you imagine me reading that script? Whoa, wait.
Right.
Hey. Well,
I mean, and I was I got to address this stuff with Leland. I'm come on, man, I can't dance around some of this stuff. So since we got you here, I'm gonna just dive right into it. So first of all, like you said, when you got the script and maybe you were reading through it, and even more so, I don't know, I'm gonna be real, when the scene when you got back, or when you're talking, you kind of have your realization, you call dude back to the place, you kind of apologize, and you say you haven't eaten, and I literally was thinking the lunch too. I was oh, okay, they about to go great. Then you were no, I haven't. I was wait a minute. And the fact that they went there, I mean, talk to me as an actor about when you guys are filming, because I would have been you know what, can we get the face double, body double, someone, because I don't know if I can do it. Woo! I was Leland went there. He is an actor.
Yeah, man. You got to service the character at the end of the day. It's not you. It's the art. It's the character, and ultimately, look, how much do you love it? How much do you love what you do? And I mean, are you going to finish the job? Regardless of how people may think or what they may look at you. Listen. This is a relationship between me, and God. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if I got peace with it, I'm good with it. You know what I mean? And look, you want to bring authenticity to the screen, you got to bring authenticity to the screen, and that's excluding no parts of it. I mean,
Wow.
you know, it was done tastefully, which I love Dime to death for, because, you know, they really looked out for me as far as, you know, doing things tastefully and doing things in a way to where, you know, nobody is looking crazy out here. But
I mean,
I mean, everybody knew what was going on and what was happening, but at the same time, like, you know, we were kind of spared the details as well, you know. So I'm not too mad at how they did it, you know, because I knew going into it what they were asking me for. You know, I had a long talk with Dime, and we spoke about these things to a very, you know, to the extenuous extent, even if that's a word, you know, boundaries and all the rest, and you know, we came to some agreements as far as, you know, what would be done and what wouldn't be done. And ultimately, I'm happy with how it all turned out, because, you know, they did it in a tasteful way. You know what's happening, but at the same time, you know, it's Kim Wayne's at the door, like, oh, freaky dicky, you know what I mean?
man,
Seeing all of that, you know what I mean?
I love that you know, that when, you know, she's playing like 8 characters in there,
It's
you know, in the final episode, man, that they were able to get her. Chef, tell me about, like, so we see in this episode, you know, first of all, like, Tia's dealing, you know, starting the revolution or continuing the revolution for the strippers, you know, there when she goes back, you know, they're kind of looking, she's kind of like, hey, things really hadn't changed. In fact, it looked like it had got worse because the strip club, there was nobody in there, you know, type thing. So like, in terms of her journey, and kind of like what she's doing, you know, talk to me about, like, kind of like what you felt about like with Tia and what she's doing here.
Well, I really appreciate Tia's character and what she's representing, because the stripping world is something that's been around for a long time, right? And people can kind of look at that however they choose to look at it, but these are still people in there who want to make money for a living by however route they decide to take. So to know that they don't have certain, like, health insurance or things like that, which people don't, they kind of just treat these women and people as objects, like, whatever, I'm gonna just use them to throw money at. So Tia's character and development, as far as standing up for them, I think is very powerful, because she has the platform to do it. She has the conviction to do it. And I think if we kind of hone in on that world in totality, it can really make some impact in real life situations. That's why I feel like this show is very good at the conversations in reality. You know what I mean? Because we have these people on large platforms who still turn their head to situations like this because they deem it as, well, they chose that life. But let's not factor in, like, how much you're contributing to it or how much it's influencing everything else based off of music. But, like, I can really go into it, but I'm just saying, I like that Tia's really taking the opportunity to shine light on this area of society. Like, I really appreciated it.
Nice. No, that I thought that was well done. And really the idea, I'm like, whoever's, like, in the writer's room, like, writing out, like, with the bus and how they compare, I was like, man, someone's might take that in real life and be like,
that's
you
what
know
I'm saying.
what?
It's brilliant.
Yeah, that is a dope concept.
Yeah, no, I appreciated that. Yeah, Missy, what were your feelings about it?
Oh yeah, I love that they use her clout as a way to, like, help people out, because I feel like a lot of people, like what the Chef was saying, like, a lot of people have all this, like, popularity, but they kind of just use it for themselves, and she's trying to use it for everyone. Like, everyone has healthcare, or even when she said massage, like, I was like, I want to be on this bus, but, you know, I'm not. But
can I be the driver? I'll be.
No, but I was like, that's really nice, and, like, I just cannot wait to see her progression in, like, next season. Just seeing, like, where she's gonna take that and, like, where is it gonna go. So I'm looking forward in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, like, Tia always, sometimes, you know, she's always known for just keeping things very real and all this stuff, but you forget, like, within, like, kind of Chef saying, within her character structure, I mean, she comes up with some, like, just brilliant ideas in terms of, you know, like I said, trying to forward this particular movement, or even in past episodes, just she'll drop little nuggets and gems where you're like, oh dang, but she'll say it in her own way where it's just like, hey, I'm just keeping it real or whatever. You don't really think of her as, like, oh, you know, I'm this mastermind or the smart, you know, in the group, but she really is in touch with everybody and everything in terms of her, you know, her world, you know. So I definitely, like you said, appreciate that. So yeah, I really liked I'm like Missy, I want to see where they're going to take that. going forward. Now Ari, obviously, or I keep saying Ari, Leland, in terms of dealing with Ari's situation, I think even like you said, going through this whole season, we really saw. I liked the, I guess, like you said, the progression of that character. Because last season it was just like you could do no wrong. You were just Mr. I'm gonna say it like it is. I'm living carefree. And then we kind of dug into your life a little more. Like, hey, maybe I'm carefree, but even I'm human. I'm dealing with some stuff. I'm not so carefree where I don't deal with stuff. And obviously in the finale, it kind of circled back around, kind of going back to you in terms of how you left things off. And I forgot which must have been like F5 or so, when you had the kind of like the mini breakup, and you were like, I gotta reflect on some things.
Right. I had to go switch genders real quick. I had to go get the girl. Bring her to the house, and got my tarot cards.
And then. But I love that, like the scene in the barbershop in in the last one where you kind of had the confrontation with the dad. Well, first you got getting roasted by the little kid, but then the dad comes in, is kind of going at his son, a little bit, and you kind of stand up for him and kind of get some stuff off your chest. And like I said, I like how the writers kind of they always come back and give you that sense of like humanism, where he's like, man, he's not so far above everything where he's just like, I don't care, type thing. I loved that human element that they brought, to that. So, just all in all, like kind of what were your feelings this season in terms of how the arc for your character that they gave you?
I love the fact that they gave me more to do as far as the introspective piece of it. Like I felt like in season 1, I was, holding up the Bryson and Simone story and just, making my little cameos coming in and like, hey, what up, y'all? Ha, funny shit.
Right.
Hey, what up, y'all? Funny stuff. And then, bounce back out to my own little world, so it was kind of cool how you got to see into my own little world in this particular season. You got to see the chinks in Ari's armor, because like you said, he could do no wrong. He was the poster child for I'm unapologetic and this is who I am. And everybody's like, yeah, we feeling Ari, we feeling him. And then, episode 9 comes around and you see from season 1 and you see, oh wait, Ari has some chauvinistic views. Okay, maybe there's a little more to him. And then the second season, we see, I'm just dealing with it. There's insecurity. There's chinks in the armor that we didn't see that were there in the first season. And I got to play more of a complex character. It wasn't just let me come in here and make some jokes and turn up. There was all of that element to it, but also there was the element of, well, he's a real person and he really deals with issues. It wasn't just let me come in and turn up. It was like, wait, am I toxic? Am I, there are things inside of me that I have to deal with. He's not just a caricature, he's a real person. And I love the fact that they turned me into more of a real person instead of just a caricature of, a poster child of something. Ari became a person, in my opinion, in that second season, and I added depth to the character. So I love the fact that they wrote that arc. I mean, we ended up where we ended up.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I love that full circle though, that whole boomerang effect of it all. He starts off in one place and he ends up, at the very end of it, coming to a place of realization. That just shows that that's a real arc. There's a real change. There's a real 180 within this person. He has these doubts and this obstacle that's in front of him, and he goes through things trying to figure out how to get around it and how to get over it. And then ultimately he has to face it straight on. And then that's when he's able to walk through that door of growth, and you see all of that in this particular season. So I love the fact that they gave me, so much more to do in this particular role.
Right. And Chef, I know you had touched on it earlier. I mean, in terms of what the show was touching on in terms of the masculinity and like things like that. Was there anything like, kind of maybe piggybacking or, in terms of what Leland was talking about? Do you want to expand on that a little more? Because I'm definitely interested in that.
No, absolutely. So if you think about Leland's character, or just season 1 period, everything was based on Bryson and Simone as far as like this heterosexual type forces battling against each other. But then you go into season 2 and we see Ari's character starts to expand, and you see that though he wasn't really like, they didn't expand on his character that much in season 1, like he has his own issues too. And what does masculine look like in a relationship, and what does feminine look like? Because the old ideology of it could be the man brings home the bacon and the feminine is supposed to cook and clean. But I feel like at the age that we're at now and just the generation, reciprocity is just looked at a different way. And I think when it comes to reciprocity, that's what it looks like as far as a healthy relationship. As far as masculine, I feel like it's masculine to heal. It's masculine to be vulnerable, as opposed to toxic masculinity. And I feel like Ari kind of had to have that full circle situation to face that, like, maybe I'm the issue. It seems like I'm always deflecting, but maybe I need to look internally, and that takes a different level of strength. So I just like how aesthetically everything was put together to where it's like, because I want to live a life with more balance, I have to have the courage to look within myself so that I can live the life that I want to attract.
Man, that's good right there.
Yeah,
I was like, man, I'm like about to get the pop. I'm like, preach, man. You know, if you're doing like the TED Talk right now or something, you know. I'm like, man, keep going.
Because like that's just like how I gauge. I pay attention to the little, even the title Boomerang, what goes around come around. Like if you look at it from a metaphorical standpoint, everyone has to face like this internal challenge. Even when we look at Crystal, her going to pair one night stand, because season 1 she was the help, helping everybody else but herself. So now she getting flued out doing whatever, but we start to see everyone just kind of like solve their own problems because they had to get to this low point to where they had no other choice.
Right.
No, yeah, I feel like since you said the boomerang goes back around, yeah. I feel like a lot of people are unhappy, and that's why Ari had to change who he is so he can attract what he wants. Same with Crystal, same with Bryson, same with Simone. Like their whole friend group, they were just came to a low point of unhappiness. And then I think we saw that when they went to the house, and it was just like not what they wanted. It was just like a lot of realizations just came to the forefront, and like I'm just happy where everyone's progressing.
Right. Yeah, which leads me to the kind of the final storyline in the season finale with Bryson and Simone. How did you guys feel about how it's everything just kind of patched up right there? I mean, they were kind of going for the interviews there, and they have their little situation. Do you think because they had kind of been jabbing back and forth all season that it was kind of like, okay, it was a culmination, or were you just like how did you guys feel about that? Or was it just too quick and you were like, what? Like you guys back together already, or did you want to see some more conflict? I'm sorry. I'll start with Missy on this one.
Okay, ladies first. I mean, I was happy to see them like on like the right path together. Like since they was like going back and forth all season, like doing like just like just like being mean to each other, because I guess both their feelings were hurt, of course. But I'm just happy they're on the same page. But I don't think they were actually back together, because she saw Bryson flirting with those other girls, and that just brought up like the dog like wolf barking her, like how they used to do with Eddie Murphy in the movie. So I was like, okay, like is she trying to bring out? I don't know what that meant. I think that means like I don't know. I guess that could just be my prediction, but I don't think they're necessarily back together. I think they're partners. Okay. I think they're more platonic than like in a relationship.
I see. Chef, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I thought it was cool, and I thought it was a great message that was portrayed, because a lot of times when it comes to people no longer being in relationships, people always like try to throw third on their ex name, or what, y'all still talk to each other, y'all still friends. But just because relationships don't work out doesn't mean people can't still be friends, doesn't mean people still can't have businesses, doesn't mean people still can't do whatever. So I thought that was very clever as well, because we see that they've known each other damn near their whole lives. So however old they are, like late 20s, so we just go throw all of this away just because we didn't work out romantically. No, we still know each other enough to know how business works. So let's see if we can still make this work. And I see it sometimes in everyday life, people still being cool, still going to their exes' weddings and things like that. So it does work. I don't know how much is really portrayed on TV. I really liked how they put this together.
Right. Leland, what are your thoughts, since you were in the mix, on that?
Man, listen, I'm looking at this thing like, let the games begin all over again. Look, this is the cat and mouse that they've been playing the whole time. Season 1, he's chasing her and she's not feeling it. Then he gets her, but I don't know. And then it's his heart. Now he's going out here hoeing and beating up everything he can find. And now she wants him back. And you know, they go through this thing, and it's just a constant back and forth. And at this particular point, it's like, well, at least we have this commonality into where we're both great at what we do, right? So at least we know we can trust each other. We've been lifelong friends. You know, whatever this relationship thing is or what have you, whatever their hopes are, we'll see those things manifest hopefully in season 3. But right now, it's ding, 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 right back to that. You know, the boomerang done came back around on them. Because look, you think about it. At the very end, she's setting office. I mean, what she set it up for? I don't know. It looked like she had the cognac and the Cavassier ready to go. She had, you know, looked like she's ready to spread eagle on the desk. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, who knows? But then she sees him macking on like 3 different women at the same time, and that puts the little woof. And you know, whenever the woof comes into play, that means you want something. That's the dog. You know, you're after it. So the game is just going back. We just coming back to it. We coming right back to it.
There was a classic cycle. Now that you say that,
it's a cycle.
That's what I was kind of feeling as well. Like you said, when she was like, I kind of thought like, okay, they are about to go into be business partners, you know, because they were talking like, hey, congratulations. But when she was like, hey, meet me back in the office in 5 minutes, I was like, whoa, you know. Yeah. And then on his face, did you notice he was kind of like I was kind of thinking like, is she trying to pull something? And like Leland was saying, the way she had set up everything, it was kind of nice. Like even she was kind of like looking like, oh, okay, do I look good? Like, you know, type thing. And then when she saw, like you said, she's kind of looking, she saw him with the 3 girls, and you're kind of thinking like, okay, he's doing his thing. And like you said, the tilt of the head, and kind of she had that look in her eye like, oh, I'm back in the hunt. Like I'm not gonna let let these girls come and get what's mine. You know, so that's the way I saw it. Like she's
and that's how relationships work. I mean, you know, it's like unless it's ended, there's always that cycle. There's always those habits. There's always that same comfortability you come back to. You know, there's always that level of comfort you have with a particular person. So you know, you want that thing back, but then there's those same habits that pop up and those same things that you realize, you know, and it's just a rotation. It's a revolving door for a lot of people in relationships. They'll go on and on and on and on and on and on for years with people that are unhappy because, you know, they're just comfortable in the situation, but they don't want to rock the boat, even though it's something that they're not necessarily happy with. And I just feel like this is one of those situations to where nobody completely has what they want out of the other person, but they still want the other person. So it's that constant, you know, tug of war and that jab, because I want you to be this for me, and you want me to be that, but I'm not willing to be that, and you're not willing to be this, but we can't leave each other alone. So we keep doing this dance, you know? It's crazy.
Man, so toxic. I don't, that's terrible. When you just use people for their potential, that's messed up.
I know that dance too well. I know that dance too well.
You know,
and I'm also thinking, like you said, like it's one of those things like if they're gonna be working together, I mean, they got the Henny there. You feel like there's gonna be a late night, people working on stuff, you know, like, hey, let's have some drinks. And next thing we know, we waking up in the morning, same clothes, like what happened, you know?
And I can already predict, listen, it's going, because look, if you look at it, right, you remember how it was with Boomerang, when Eddie and Jacqueline, they started getting down or whatnot, then, you know, they're working together, but it's also the sexual relationship in the beginning, and they don't know how to play it out. I can see. I mean, listen, I can see this thing happening just like that, man. They're gonna be on some old like, man, we trying to figure it out. We have this sexual chemistry still, but we're trying to have a relationship with somebody else on the side, and then this person gets hurt because I'm still stuck on you, and there's so many possibilities. That's why we need a season 3. We need a season 3.
There we go. We need
somebody call BT.
Exactly. Hey, so I mean, did you guys, Missy or Chef, did you guys have any specific questions you wanted to, you know, kind of, well, we got the Mr. Leland Martin in the house that you wanted to, you know, that we didn't address or anything?
Oh, all right, I'll let Chef go. He can.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll go first. Yeah, so
okay.
My question to you, Leland, how important do you feel as though your role was to our culture and our generation?
I feel like it's important in the way that I get a lot of DMs and Twitter messages and things like that from people that tell me exactly how important the role is. People that tell me that they see themselves for the first time on television, because it's funny talking to a lot of different people. I've heard this comment saying over and over again that the B is silent in the LGBTQ community. There's a lot more outspoken groups within that community, and the B is kind of silent within it. So, for people who are, that are bisexual, to see themselves on television, I think is extremely important. You know what I mean? And they hit me in my DMs and tell me so. Just the fact that Ari is unapologetic and kind of the poster child bisexual, just unapologetic about who he is and the way that he goes about life. It's like seeing a superhero almost. You know what I mean? Like seeing like for us as young Black kids, seeing the Black Ranger. You know what I mean? Seeing somebody that looked like us with that walked about with power and confidence, that was defeating the monsters. And even though Ari's not doing karate and defeating monsters, he's still overcoming issues in his life. He's overcoming the demons and the monsters that plague him within and on the outside of his life. He's overcoming those struggles, and being authentic to who he is. And I think that people that fit in those same shoes as Ari can find strength in that.
That's powerful, bro.
That is powerful.
Straight up.
My question is, I just want to see, like, as your point of view as Ari, like, where do you see him like coming out of like season 4? Like, do you see him like progressing like within himself or with his friends, or do you like have an idea?
Man, Ari, there's so many ways that we can go with Ari. I mean, I think we explored a lot into his interpersonal relationship life. Just honestly, if I'm thinking about the way that they structured the very end of Boomerang, the last season or what have you, I see them taking the professional thing as far as Bryson and Simone back up a little bit. So, season 1, Ari was, I'm a director, let me help, this, that, and third. So,
that's right.
Part of your maturity, I feel like too, once you find, somebody that you want to be with, or you find some type of stability within yourself, I feel like then a lot of times is when your career starts to bud and blow. Once you start to get your personal life a little bit more under wraps and find just, even though he may not settle into a relationship or anything like that, he's still finding more maturity about himself. He's still becoming more confident in who he is, and with that, I feel like your professional life starts to bud and bloom. And I would love to see us return to some of him as a director and a hustler and all that good stuff. But he still got to be Ari. I want to see that turn up. We gotta have that part of Ari. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You gotta keep that. But for real.
That's for sure. Well, hey, I want to get everybody's predictions going forward as we've wrapped up season 2. And I'm believing, they gotta give us the season 3. There's too much stuff that's unwrapped. So, Chef Beanz, let's start with you. Kind of predictions going to next season based on where things have been left off.
I really like what we were talking about earlier as far as them working under the same roof now, and that sexual chemistry having some type of nuance, but they're still highly effective. I see their business expanding. As far as David, it's kind of like what I'm seeing happening on like other shows. Like, it's okay for friends to like go separate ways. You can touch base, but he has to still become who he is, because if you're not finding your high level of happiness in your friend group, then I'm going to say go the opposite way every time. Like, you shouldn't have to lower your amount of happiness to fit into any mold. And as far as Crystal, I see Crystal starting to spread her wings a little bit more. I just feel like everyone is going to be more independent. Not saying that probably still won't get up for drinks and things, but everyone's kind of going to be doing their own thing in season 3.
Okay. Missy?
I agree with Chef, but I just want to see if David proposes to his girl or not, because like they just left me like hanging. I was like, dang, okay, we're gonna see that in the next episode, but we didn't. So I'm just like, is it ever gonna happen? He's gonna chicken out. Like, I just want to know.
I'm kind of I'm with you on that. Like, I mean, I was under the impression like, hey, it's a done deal. I mean, he had the whole ring in his hand unless something comes up, or like you said, there could be that twist of like what's going on. I wanted to see them also visit like kind of what's going on with David in the church, like because he was when we had the pastor, Jaleel White was in there and kind of looked like had him maybe on that path. So is he gonna go through with Naomi and follow that, or maybe something might come up and he goes down a different path? I don't know. I want to kind of see where that is. And like you said, kind of just the whole friend group, everybody's kind of got their own little missions going on. So I feel like they'll kind of wrap up some stuff going on with that. So like, yeah, I'm first of all, like I said, I'm believing that you guys just get that season 3. So I'm gonna be looking out for once they announce that, or then I'll be like, now we can move on, because don't do us wrong and set us up, and then
Exactly.
we gotta have it up. So BET or whoever the powers that be out there, please bring us some season 3.
We need at least one more. We need at least one more go around. There's still more story to be told. There's still some loose ends to hem up. So we need that BET.
Cool. Well, and also, Leland, tell us, I mean, obviously we see you on Boomerang. Any other projects out there that, maybe you were working on pre-COVID that might be coming out, or that we can be looking out for you on?
Yeah, I did a commercial. It's funny because I had to unplug my Alexa so that because I knew this question was coming, so whenever I said the name, it wouldn't go crazy on me.
Right.
But I did a commercial. Four commercial spots for Alexa and OnStar for 4 different car brands. But everything shut down and ain't nobody buying cars right now. So I'm anticipating those will run once the country opens back up for people to get some cars. But that was the last thing I did, and I was pushing Boomerang and audition. I had I was in producer sessions for one particular project, but I won't speak on what that particular project is, because who knows what's going to happen with that once we come back. But right now I'm just I'm in limbo, man. Honestly I'm chilling. Hopefully they run those car commercials still, and we'll get renewed for season 3, and then I'll be able to move about and get some more work. But right now, man, I'm in the house, sipping on some wine and chilling.
Hey, just like the rest of us. So hey, we feel you. But hey, we really appreciate you coming on today and just breaking things down. And as we get ready to get out, I want to start with Chef, kind of let everybody know where they can follow you at on social media.
You can follow me on all social media platforms at Chef_Beanz. That's with a Z. Got a lot of amazing things going on, so tap in.
For sure. Missy?
Hey guys, you can follow me on all social media platforms at Missy Vernier.
And Leland, let them know where they can follow you at as well.
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate y'all having me so much. I mean, there's always love in this room. These interviews always go so good because the vibe is just dope. It's a conversation, and I love it, But y'all can catch me on Instagram and Twitter. My full name, my active name that you can find me on IMDb as well. Leland B. Martin, LelandB Martin.
The show. And I'm your boy, Tenere Williams. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Tenere W. That's at TENEREW. And I recently just jumped on TikTok too. I'm trying to get some little things going. Trying to be everywhere with your boy. But again, man, hey, we really appreciate you coming through. Like you said, you have fun. I mean, we've definitely had fun having you on from, last season. Again,